We ready, everybody? Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, February 25th, 2014. We have a village board meeting followed committee of the whole. It is 7:05 p.m. First item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sherby, can you please call the roll tonight?
Trustee Kilpatrick.
Present.
Trustee Katusa, absent. Trustee Perry, absent. Trustee Rita.
Present.
Trustee Stecker, absent. Trustee Yorkovich.
Present.
President Cooley.
Present. We do have a quorum by the skin of our teeth. Item number 4, presentations. Do we have any?
No, we don't.
Nothing. Public comments, to give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak. And in the interest of adjourning by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time is granted by the board on active or general matters. Please identify yourself and your address for our clerk.
My name is Bill Ostendorf. I live at 2901 Mayfair Avenue, Westchester. You know, I was thinking about asking questions tonight versus making a statement, but I think I'd rather make a statement. Over the past 9 months or so, I've done some plan review with the former Public Works Director and some sites in Westchester. And I'm concerned about, as always, about flood control issues. And Dave and I have looked at the flood control situation at the southwest corner of 22nd and Cermak, 75 acres of pavement over there, hard surface. And the plans that were submitted to the MSD at the time, MWRD was called MSD at the time, showed the need for a stormwater control structure there that has never been built. 25 years ago, the site for 25 years has been in non-conformance, and my feeling here is that the site should be brought up to the current standards, the revised standards that MWRD is promoting now, and that the structure be done. I know that there isn't a Public Works Director available at this time, but I want to come back in 2 weeks and ask the question, what's going to be done? And I don't want to hear, we're looking into it kind of thing. I heard that argument 6 months ago when I was up here. And I'm getting a little frustrated with this kind of thing. I'm in a neighborhood where somebody spits on the street and we have to worry about flooding. And we have all this water coming from that site over here, unrestricted, uncontrolled, and in violation of the permit that they have for their property. And I think the village has to do something about it. And notwithstanding the fact that we don't have a village engineer on staff right now, or a Public Works Director on staff right now, I think we need to, the thing has to be addressed before the spring flood season comes, before the spring rains come. So thank you. I hope when I come back in 2 weeks, there is an answer that's positive that we're going to do this, that this will be done, and something will happen here instead of talking around it and hoping the thing goes away. Thank you.
I could just shed a little bit of light in back in October of 13, MWRD passed a water management ordinance for stormwater retention, detention that goes into a place on May 1st of 14. In a recent meeting that Janet and I attended, we had heard that they were given a year gift, which I kind of vehemently indicated I was not in favor of. My thought was if they passed it in October, they should have made it through December 31st and made everybody comply that was putting in their paperwork. But apparently they're letting everybody get into the last minute, so to speak, and then potentially another year before they say put the screws to them to make them hold on to the additional stormwater, which certainly I was against. But we will certainly contact MWRD. I have a meeting with one of their commissioners next week, or on the 11th, and maybe we could shed some light on this. But the stormwater management is all handled by MWRD and not us. Why whatever wasn't put into place back in the day in the 90s when that was put into place, I have no clue.
No, and I appreciate that effort, but, you know, there has to be an answer to this thing. It just can't go, this is lingering death. It's like getting shot with babies instead of a cannonball, you know? I mean, this is, you know, just going on and on. And we're going to talk around it forever. And, you know, the thing is, it's been a nonconformist for over 25 years. Let's bring it into conformance and hopefully bring it in conformance under the new standards. Thanks.
I will certainly convey that message. Okay, anyone else? Did you at least win across the street?
Well, hey, Mr. Adams, nice looking truck.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Nice looking unit. You know, normally I come here and you guys, everything's always negative. This time it's a positive. I want to thank the Westchester Police Department, especially Officer Model, for his diligent work. My car was totaled once again in front of my house on a hit and run.
Oh my God.
And he actually found the person, and restitution was made.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. And I know other officers were involved, but he headed up the whole thing, gave me his cell phone number, said, call me anytime when you see this vehicle again, because he knew it had damage. He saw the tire tracks, he saw everything. And I thought that was exceptional. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, Chief.
I appreciate that. I'll see him tomorrow. I'll relay it.
I mean, he went well beyond.
What I would suggest, if you put anything in writing, it will certainly end up in his personnel file
Okay.
and not be a, you know, a nice job, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And I know in years past when you received letters of good work, that has always been rewarded with the staff.
Yeah, because
So-
he did an unbelievable job.
So that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing nothing. Public hearing, I don't believe we have any, correct?
We do not.
Okay. Consent agenda for A, B, C, and D. Got bills, minutes, resolution for the facade grant program, and the multi-hazard mitigation plan. Motion and a second, or anybody need anything pulled?
Motion.
Second.
Celeste and Tom. Discussion, if not, roll call, please.
Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkovich.
Aye.
President Julia.
Aye.
Cal Cragnell?
I'm sorry. Okay.
He's easy to forget. So, okay, motion carries. Item number 8, active agenda. Do we have anything active this evening?
We do not.
Okay, managers report.
Very brief report this evening. Just wanted to let everybody know we will be scheduling a special meeting on Tuesday, March 4th at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom to discuss our public safety budget. So any interested parties, feel free to come on out for that. Also, just to save the date for Friday, March 14th, we will be hosting a senior breakfast from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. at St. Joe's. And if you need any information, just give Molly a call here at Village Hall and she'll fill you in. Basically, it's going to be a little mini kind of state of the village. We're going to have all department heads giving little presentations on services that their departments provide. And if anybody came out last year, was very well attended, and we hope to have an even better crowd this year. That's all I have this evening.
Okay. Attorney, Melissa, anything to add to the game?
No report.
Nothing. Board members, I know EDC did not have a quorum this week, so we didn't have anything from EDC. Anything from CAB, Tom? In the middle of anything?
No, we're just hopefully going to finalize the date for this get out and play date, and hopefully it's going to be Saturday, June 7th. They're going to be meeting with St. Joe's, I think Friday, some members of CAB to talk to them about some things.
Great. Angelo, Environmental Committee.
We're just probably before the end of the week, hopefully we'll have a location tied down for the stormwater educational seminar on April 30th. We do know that it's going to be at 7 p.m. that night.
Okay. At
Again,
7
there'll be a
p.m.
variety of vendors there and different agencies to provide information about stormwater runoff, provide some different options, for things that people can do to their homes to help stop putting additional stormwater into the system, during rains and stuff like that. So hopefully by next board meeting we'll have something tied down.
Great. Celestine, anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
Nothing. McGee, anything for special events? We had a planning meeting a couple weeks ago.
The special events team is in the process of working on our 2014 schedule. Hopefully get started on a few of the beginning events that are coming up here in just a few months as soon as possible. We do have the senior breakfast that we're working on. And we're continuing to collaborate with the different entities in the community to put on these events. And I'm actually meeting with the Park District tomorrow to go over some ideas that we have to utilize some other facilities that we didn't have the opportunity to last year. So,
Great. Thank you. John, anything?
This Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I'll be attending an annual conference in Springfield for ILEAS, the Illinois Law Enforcement Alarm System. It normally draws between 500 to 600 attendees, being police chiefs, fire chiefs, emergency services. It has anything to do with Homeland Security, NIMS, whatever's new and improved that we need to know about, and responding to emergencies. Whatever's out there, it's informational, and as a police chief, I need 20 hours of training each year. This qualifies for 12 hours of that training. So I'll be available within a couple hours away, leaving Sunday, and I'll be back Tuesday afternoon, and I'll be here Tuesday evening for the budget hearings. Other than that, I have nothing else. It's on the next agenda.
John, would you touch briefly on that phone campaign that's going around?
As a matter of fact, that's quieted down all of a sudden. But last week we were receiving phone calls from people claiming that they were receiving phone calls from people that were purporting to be from the Westchester Police Union, and there is no such organization called the Westchester Police Union. We were able to determine that it was in fact a phone solicitation from the Metropolitan Alliance of Police that represents the police officers and the sergeants, none of which are actively involved, our police officers. We are not Our officers are not doing any phone solicitation, but this union, as you know, represents numerous agencies throughout the state, and they can pick any community. They're not going door to door. They were telephoning residents to see if they were interested in making contributions. We made a phone call to the union. They verified it was in fact their professional solicitors, and since the phone calls that we made last week, the complaints have stopped. So I don't know if they decided to stop calling residents of Westchester. This started soon after I started here in September of last year as well. So we don't know when they're going to solicit, and we explained to people it is a legitimate union that represents our police officers and sergeants. However, our officers and sergeants are not making the phone calls. They're not, partaking in this solicitation, but it is from Matt. We have something posted on the website that we gave to Molly, something available at the village hall and at the police station to explain this to people. And it's not our officers, they're not looking for money. It's the MAP union, which is soliciting just generally throughout the community.
All right, thank you. Jim?
Just a few things. I attended a Mavis Command Conference last Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Talked about a lot of issues in the state, funding being one of them. Something I'll be bringing to the board within the next 6 to 8 months, depending on how long it takes the Mavis attorneys. I'm going to be asking, it's an amendment to our Mavis agreement that we currently have that actually allows us to bill for extended, actually allows us to collect for extended operations. It's typically not meant on the day-to-day Mavis operations, but for deployment purposes, if we go downstate, if we send an engine company or a rescue company downstate for an extended stay, it allows us to recover those funds more directly and more easily than they were done in the past for the firefighting end of things, which was the biggest thing out of that. So that'll be forthcoming.
Weren't you able to collect through ILEAS, because normally they're going to do the call-outs for that?
This is through the Mavis system, because this also goes across, like when we went down to Katrina and things like that. Although back then, the funds were recovered relatively quickly, or we were reimbursed relatively quickly. This just kind of solidifies it legally. It's basically what it comes down to through our Mavis agreements. Like I said, that's kind of coming through Mavis and their attorneys. They had a draft that they put out there, and among the chiefs that were there, we discussed it, and they just have to go back and polish up a few things, and they'll bring it to us. And every Mavis division, every town that belongs to every Mavis division in the state will be passing this amendment to the agreement. So, the Mavis attorney, which was I forget, one of the bigger attorneys on the fire side, he said, and don't let your municipal attorneys touch it after we put it out, because they may want to tweak it. And they said if you do that, it actually it has to be consistent throughout the state. So
I know if Melissa touches it, we're going with her.
I'm just saying. So if we
Simple
want to
as
get our
that.
money back, I'm going by what he says. So another thing, we had a meeting with Norcom, Greg, and Mercury Systems to talk about the Zetron system finally. To get that ball rolling, Mercury Systems going to come out and engineer our stations, because now the way it's being planned has changed now that Norcom's taken over our dispatch. I was told by Norcom and Mercury Systems 2 months we should have it in and running. So God willing, we will be. Also, we have a police and fire board meeting, I believe Monday. We've solidified the captain's test with the assessment being April 3rd, I'm sorry, and the written test being April 10th. Along with, obviously you saw my new vehicle, or our new vehicle, which was funded through the FEMA Assistance to Firefighter Grant outside. Along with this, a lot of the towns in Division 20, which is our Mavis division we belong to, are changing the station numbers, which changes the numbers on our vehicles. Our station numbers will be 25 for this station, and Station 2 will be 26. This also helps with the dispatching with Norcom to help simplify things. So like our ladder truck, which was 315, will now be truck 25. The new rescue vehicle will be rescue 25. The ambulances will be ambulance 25 and 26. And then our engines will be engines 25 and 26 as well. It helps, again, simplifying the dispatching. And Berkeley actually last month went to it. Broadview went last month. Last year, Schiller Park went with this. Franklin Park's been doing it for years. And like I said, it just helps simplify the whole process of dispatching. So kind of excited about that too, because it's kind of a new thing that that helps everybody out. So it's kind of a lot, but that's all I got.
Good. Thank you. Maureen?
I don't have too much to report tonight. I've been working on the budget, and as the board members know, we will be meeting March 4th to discuss the public safety, including police, fire, EMA, E911, Fire Commission. On March 18th, we will be meeting to discuss utilities, public works, motor fuel tax. April 1st, we will meet to discuss administration, capital improvements, debt service, and hotel motel tax. And on the 22nd, we hope to adopt a final budget. In between those budget meetings, we will have our regular board meetings to follow up on any outstanding issues that we have.
And not to let Melissa off the hook, we'll add community development probably along with that third meeting with the admin. And
Yeah. Thank you, Janet. That's all I have.
we have to share the fun.
Just make sure, and I know we have that, that I think Friday is the packet day, that whatever budget information gets out, so at least we have the weekend to
Yes,
digest
I
it
will be
before the
sending out
meeting
budget
on
information
Tuesday, right?
on the Friday prior to the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you. Sorry I forgot.
that's okay. Gregory?
Yes, good evening. I'm just looking up a date real quick here that you had sent me with regards to the drug take-back program. It looks like the MWRD is going to participate as well with the Drug Enforcement Administration in trying to get drugs off the waterways and the wastewater instead of flushing it down the toilet. But of course, here in Westchester, the drop-off point is our lobby. Everyone should know that by now. We've talked about it time and time again, and I can tell you that I get a phone call from Sergeant Stieber probably a little more often than I'd think. He does a station check to make sure everything is clean, make sure there's nothing laying around, empty bags, and he knocks on the door saying, it's full again. So we're getting full, and I guess that means it's a successful program we have here. With regards to Emergency Telephone System Board, we met on Thursday of last week. We briefly discussed the budget, still to be discussed a little bit further internally. And at that meeting, we welcomed Jay to our board. At that time, we also did it at the previous meeting. But the one thing I didn't say at the previous meeting that I had mentioned at the ETSB meeting was the wonderful service we had with the former member, Pete DiPetro. He was a citizen member since the board's inception, so I just want to acknowledge him. The board was brought into service, if you will, after the vote in late 2004. So the board came in 2005, and from 2005 for 9 years, he participated in the board, attended every meeting, and was very helpful and knowledgeable as a citizen member should be, and participated overwhelmingly to provide information on his thought inside of things. And I'm sure we educated him as well on how things work in 911. So I just want to acknowledge his time and efforts and service that he provided to us. On another note, I had mentioned at the previous meeting that day of the last meeting, we had just began the installation and just started the license plate recognition camera. And I just wanted to briefly show you a quick couple pictures from things we've got. And this is just from a couple hours ago. We had 6,100 reads from the license plate system, which means the camera itself is going out, it's driving down the street, and every plate it runs across, as long as it can get a good glimpse of it, and I'll show you that in a second, is picking up those plates. The hits, most of them were tests. We do not have that system in place yet. We're hopefully, we're just waiting for the director of the Illinois State Police to sign off on some paperwork. We've given them that, and we're waiting for those data records from the Secretary of State, as well as NCIC, National Crime Information Center, to provide us with data that will be placed into the system to alert officers of stolen vehicles, missing people, wanted people, things such as that. We also have, as I said, these are test hits that you see currently. So then this is an example here. I chose my plate and ran, did a search on mine. Of course, I'm in the parking lot, but one of the interesting ones here is you can barely see the car. It does take a picture of the car, as you can see here. Takes a picture of the plate, gives you the time, date, tells you what officer ran it if I were able to scroll over. This is just a photograph, not the actual system. But it shows me in the lot. Again, in this case, though, pitch black night shows my car, but it's able to pick up the plate even though it's passing by at probably about 30 miles an hour down the street. The other benefit here in this case, and I'll just scroll over, this is that query on the picture that I was showing. There is an option to find out exactly using the latitude and longitude to plot it on a map with one click. The button is underneath, so it's not showing. It's as a picture, not the system. But if we need to find out for investigative purposes, and those are the only people that have access. This isn't an open access to all the officers to see, just so everybody's aware. Currently, the investigations team is the only one that can go back and review this for, again, investigative purposes. And every request is logged, so it's not something that's accessible to anybody. But again, that information as to where my car was at that time of day, 12:06 at night, plopping it on a map would show in front of my house, allow the officers, if necessary, to use that information for their benefit in solving a crime or getting information. And this is the selection of that picture. Just, again, in the event that you wanted to zoom in and actually see a picture of the car, you knew half of the license plate, and this is what we've come up with. Would allow us, if this were daytime, you'd see a clear picture of my vehicle, again, where I was at when it was taken, and then a verification of the license plate, which you can zoom in on to make sure that the right license plate was inquired upon. But so that's basically how the system works. And as I said, it's working very well, having over 6,000 plates ran, and we've only had it out on the road a couple days. Can't wait to get the data in there and see how the officers take to it. They've all been very anxious to use it. In fact, I've heard a couple grumblings as to who's getting to use it tonight. They want to see what kind of information they can pull out of it and how many cars they could pass in an evening.
When that runs something, is the information popping up like if I was keep punching it in, or is it only going to tell you that if there's a hit?
It's only going to tell you if there's a hit. And actually, in the agreement that we have with the Illinois State Police, it's designated that we are not going to somehow rig the system to run plates directly. They said it would crash their system because in the course of about one parking lot, they get about 150 cars, and that would be just a few minutes. They said their system can't handle it, and we promised, I should say the chief signed off on it, so not me, that I won't rig it to run plates directly, which we will not, unfortunately. But
What about in the case the other day of the Amber Alert at Park Ridge? Is that like a live, let's say they were driving through Westchester, what would happen if that car passed it?
in cases of Amber Alerts, in cases of, I know you're going to understand what I'm saying, at statewide broadcast, ISPERN broadcast, statewide broadcast may broadcast other things as well, armed robberies, they'll broadcast things like Amber Alerts, local incidents and crimes that the officers will hear a license plate and it be read off, and they can enter that into the system manually while they're in the car. They can take that license plate number, put that information in, and they'll be required to place some sort of information along with that plate, alerting whenever it's discovered. So if they do come across that, it'll be on the screen. It's an Amber Alert. This occurred at this time, and this is where I got the information from, so people aren't stopped for no reason.
Gotcha.
So yes, they can enter that information in, and the next time the car is spotted or seen, it will automatically pick up their license plate, give them an alert. And again, the test alerts we've done, if was a car in our parking lot, and immediately it gets alerted on the screen, and whatever data you want, whatever the officer wants to place in there, they can put that in there to say
find this car because of this situation, and it was
So
read
is
out.
that normal practice? Is that practice we will adopt if we get an Amber Alert?
Absolutely.
I mean, my phone was going crazy, everybody's phones were going crazy for that Amber Alert that one day, the other day in Park Ridge.
Yeah, anytime, if say there was a stolen car in Westchester, we would enter it into the lead system as stolen. And if that thing saw it,
Yes.
as soon as we got the hit
Mhm.
recognition in there, it's gonna pop up as
But it
stolen.
has
So
to
the
be
same
entered
thing, somebody's gotta enter it in. I'm sure Park Ridge entered it, they put an Ispern dispatch out, which
Oh,
went
okay.
everywhere
Mhm.
that they're looking for it. So, once we have the hit thing operating, it'll automatically do the hit.
So it's not like we get the alert and then we have to enter it, most likely. Park
Correct.
Ridge already entered it.
There are
Okay,
going to be
that's what I
cases, there are going to be cases
Okay.
that it may be an informational only.
Mhm.
So if it is informational only, the officers are aware on how to enter it manually into the hit list. They can enter manual plates into the hit list and to be alerted as such.
Gotcha.
And the officers also have the ability to put what's called a V note on a plate and put a little information. So if I would run that plate in another town, it would come up that Officer Puglia had contact with them for whatever reason on whatever date and whatever.
Cool.
And right now, if I run your plate and another town runs it, it'll say that I ran it in the last 10 days, who also ran it. So I could find out if it was run someplace else. That's currently in place.
And does it say why, or just says it ran?
No, if there's a V note and I put a V note and put something additional, like say there's a gang hit, or I stop somebody that's a gang member, I could put a V note, identify it as insane vice lord, caution, and then if somebody would run that plate or that guy, it would come up that information's on there. There's all kinds of things that are in place right now. This is just something that's reading without entering physically.
Mhm.
That's all I have,
Thank you.
unless anyone has questions.
Okay, and what I would suggest, Greg, if you get me Mr. DePetra's start dates and that, we could certainly recognize him at a board meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. I spoke with Molly briefly on getting some certificates.
Do that
put
as well.
together.
We can do something as well. And
Excellent.
Chief Adams, if you wouldn't mind, I would suggest highly you contact Trustee Stecker and talk to him about his third son, Zetron, and let him know what's coming with that, because he's been very vocal about getting that system in place, if you would mind. Okay, Melissa.
Good evening. Just a couple things. The invites for the business summit are going to go out this week, so that's something that the EDC has been working on. It's inviting all the business leaders to basically let them know what we're doing, how we're trying to help businesses in the community, and also get feedback from them directly if there's anything that we can be doing to help them. And that'll be held on March 20th at Westchester Community Church. I've been working on scheduling Plan Commission and EDC training. Just basically with CMAP, it's just basically what their roles are as commissioners. So we have some new plan commissioners, so I wanted to schedule that with them. We held a code update meeting. Staff met with BNF last week to go over a building code update, so hopefully that'll keep rolling along. And that's really it.
Our employee, have you received any applications for the spot?
I have. I don't remember the number offhand, how many applications I've gotten, but I've received a couple.
A fair amount?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's get that in line as soon as we can.
Absolutely.
Before this spring season will be going crazy. Question? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I had something to add. I forgot to mention that vehicle sticker renewals are going out Friday and will be on sale Monday morning.
Good luck with that.
Celeste said she's happy to come back
I won't be
and
missing that.
she just wants to work the last day though.
Oh, it's the last.
She wants to be there the last day.
5 o'clock.
So, great. Sherby, anything?
None today, President.
Nothing? Okay. Let's see. Guess it's my turn. I'll be short. Janet and I, like I said to Mr. Ossendorf, did appear at Chicago Ridge to attend an I&I meeting. I&I means inflow and infiltration. The MWRD is in the process of passing an I&I reduction ordinance. I guess the negative piece to it all is that it only applies to communities that have separated systems. So like Westchester, Hillside, and some others, seems to be that there's far less that have separated systems, being a sanitary and a storm, than combined systems. City of Chicago is a combined system, just to give you a reference. There is some requirements that we are going to have to follow once the MWRD adopts this ordinance. Some of those things we've met in the past, but there's going to be some timelines. Again, I think they talked about 5-year increments. And of course, we did smoke testing. We've done some relining projects, identifying I&I. As you can imagine, I had some commentary regarding that, as I felt that separated systems were being penalized. I shared my my consternation, I guess is a good word, with them, not only at MWRD headquarters last year, but again at this hearing as well, that the city of Chicago and other communities that have a combined system have to do pretty much nothing. Although I was told that the city of Chicago was doing some things, but again, they're not monitoring that. City of Chicago is. They're not required. Some of the other things that I hit them on was that with the WMO, with the stormwater retention, it does not apply to the city of Chicago at all. So they can build and build and build, and whatever rules they have in place, I guess they can enforce. But MWRD has no authority to do anything based on state statute, which I felt a little bit disingenuous, since we're required to do all these stormwater things, and people with, you know, that are let out, like the city of Chicago, don't have to do it. So at the end of the day, there will be more commentary, I'm sure, with I&I. I have a meeting with Patrick Thompson on the 11th to discuss this in further, because I think he knew I was a little bit miffed about, you know, I hate being told I have to do something and somebody else doesn't, and kind of bothered me. It's an unfunded mandate. We don't have money for this, although I guess in the scheme of things it's good to take care of all the inflow and infiltration. But at the many meetings that I've been attending with floods and I&I, most of the I&I comes from people's laterals. So from the sanitary sewer to your home is the culprit. So those are all clay pipes that are pretty much leaking, for lack of a better term. And, you know, that's 80% of the I&I. So until there's some type of monetary allowance, I mean, what's the incentive for people to dig up their front yards and put in the $4,000 and put a new pipe in? Not going to happen. Oh, Patrick Thompson is commissioner for the Water Reclamation District. So anyway, I'm fighting with them too. So at the end of the day, that's where we are with I&I. Janet and I did meet with Mrs. Pretwinkle yesterday in regards to ownership of the fountain, which I told you it's not going to happen. However, we are going to get a license agreement for the other side. She was very confident of that as well. We talked about the 31st Street sanitary line, which they saw was a benefit to them as well. We talked a little bit about the water line on 31st Street, which they indicated there shouldn't be too many problems with that, although we're still investigating that as well.
You had reference 31st Street sanitary line. It's
Oh,
actually
31st and water line, I'm sorry. 31st Street water line on Wolf Road.
And the Sunnyside sanitary.
Yeah, the Sunnyside is the sanitary project. So we have a lot of things going on, stormwater stuff. I did receive an email today that Governor Quinn was in Washington apparently and spoke about the inequities of the FEMA sharing as it goes to population, and how cities, we never hit the threshold and therefore don't get the 75 cents on the dollar from the FEMA. I've been in contact with Ms. Bustos, who is the Congresswoman from the 17th district, which takes in Rockford and part of Washington, Illinois, that was hit with the tornadoes and that. And she as well is on that bandwagon to try to take a look at what FEMA does and maybe make some changes to the FEMA rules. I've indicated that if they need me to go to Washington and testify, I would go, like I did last time. So, that being said, we'll see where it goes. I'm glad that the rain didn't cause any consternation for us. I know the staff received probably hundreds of calls when people saw water standing at the bottom of their driveways that wasn't able to get to the the storm sewers. We did have crews out even on overtime cleaning the storm sewers out to the best of their ability, and we dodged a bullet. So that's a good thing. Sherby, looked like you needed to say something.
I do. I have a question regarding
Shoot.
the insurance that residents have for that line from the house, from their home to the street.
Yes.
Would that coverage take care of any cracks in that sewer line?
If there was a collapse in there, and I think we have the trustee on our board that just experienced the benefit of that situation just this past weekend, Trustee Rita.
And my husband yells from downstairs, he's like, "What'd you do?" I said, "I put a cup of Drano down the bathroom sink," and all of a sudden, we were getting water up our shower, and, it lodged something. So I emailed Sam, asked him if anything was going on in town that would cause my sewer to be backing up. They came out, they checked the line, and it was running. So I called the insurance, and they came and they routed out my sewer all the way, my pipes all the way to the sewer. They camera it and everything for free. I mean, they took care of it. They routed it out. It would have cost me $300 if I didn't have the insurance. Now, if there was a break and they were to fix it, they would have paid for the first $4,000.
If there was, it has to be a collapse. Let's put it this way, probably every 3-foot lateral,
Yeah, it was
3-foot,
amazing.
3-foot, 3-foot sections. They fit into one another with like a bell housing, and there's cement around it. The cement is gone under the ground for 40-plus years. If there's a collapse that the pipe is broken, they will dig it and replace that little section or how big of a section that needs to be replaced. They're not doing the entire main to your home.
They, my parents had this problem in November, and they had to actually get it dug, and they replaced it for the $50 insurance.
Yeah,
That was
it's
it.
unbelievably
And that's, I mean,
beneficial.
digging a sewer line is usually $3,000 to $4,000 easy.
Well, and even when I worked at the village, people had come in and said they just used it, and it was under their driveway, and they dig up the cement, and if they come out, it says like a 2-day turnaround time if they're super busy. I just told them, I said, I can't use my plumbing, and they were out, and it took about 3.5 hours for them to come out. But the guy was there for over 2 hours, scoped it with the camera, let us watch it. I mean, he said, you get this, call us, we'll come right back out. I mean, there's no limit to how many times they'll do it.
So it is a benefit, the negative part of it, and Celeste and I were talking about it earlier, that, that she would get it done and then not pay the next year. And there'll be a certain number of people that will do that, but I think it's $59 a month or something if you pay.
No,
You
no,
can pay
it's
for
a
the,
year.
no, it's
No,
$59
it's
a
A
year.
year, I'm sorry, a year, $59 a year.
Yeah.
Or you can pay by the month, and it's like 72 or something for the year.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm
if you
saying
don't- yeah.
$59 a year, it's
And I know
it's cheap
if it
insurance.
goes, if your sewer or something goes into the street, you get an extra $4,000 or something.
If-
Or you get an extra allotment
Mine
to
goes all
the.
the way across the street.
Yeah, if they have to dig up the sidewalk and the street, there's a $4,000 allowance. That's where the $4,000 comes in for doing a concrete.
And that was initially why I got it. I mean, we have tree roots all the time in our sewer, whatever. I figured I'm still gonna have it rotted by whoever. I just got it for the $4,000 coverage. And Sam goes, call him. I'm like, okay. It was, yeah.
At least somebody
Very nice
listened to me.
experience.
So, that was a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing else that I can recall at this point in time. Do we have an executive?
A brief one.
Brief, okay. So we'll do that after the committee of the whole. If there's not anything else for the board, is there a motion, a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Tom, Angelo, roll call.
Trustee Calcagno.
Aye.
Trustee Rita.
I
Trustee Yorkovich.
Aye.
President Flores.
Aye. Motion carries.